So kuna kitu imefanyika leo Kenya, lakini Wakenya tumeignore, hata hatuoni kama inatuhusu. Not because it is our mistake, but our government and political and media system are designed in such a way that it prevents us from speaking about things that matter to us. Now, the Central Bank of Kenya imeannounce the inflation rate ya mwaka wa 2022. Na hiyo data inaonyesha kwamba inflation level ilikuwa juu zaidi in May 2023. That is 1 month ago. Kulingana na wao wakisema, inflation ilienda juu zaidi kwa sababu bei ya chakula ilipanda na bei ya non-food items. Bei ya fuel ilipanda na bei ya non-fuel items. Everything went up in terms of prices. That is why inflation ilienda juu. Now, do not forget that we have just passed a finance bill. Ile budget ya Ruto ya 2023-2024 ndio imepita, and that finance bill inaenda kuongeza bei ya kila kitu. From fuel, VAT iliongezwa ikakuwa 16% from 8%, and from 1st July lita moja ya petroli ilipanda na 13 bob, ya diesel ilipanda na 13 bob, na ya mafuta taa ikapanda bado na 13 bob. Remember, when mafuta ya gari imepanda, or when fuel increases, everything else will follow the suit. Chakula zitapanda, non-food items zitapanda, non-fuel items zitapanda, because fuel is energy and everything needs energy. So that means inflation will only go up because of the policies zenye zilipita kwa hiyo finance bill. Wakati hiyo finance bill ilikuwa inadiskasiwa, there is something that I was speaking about so oftenly, na nilikuwa na passion nayo sana nikiongea, the housing program. And many people walikuwa na concern sana kuhusu hiyo housing levy, including the opposition party's leader, Raila Odinga, who was rebuking the government that wameleta housing levy, sijui wanataka kujengea Wakenya kweni hawana nguvu. But I want to remind you that it doesn't mean just because Ruto is bringing this housing levy that if Raila was the president, things could be different. He would still be the leader of the same government that has been designed to make citizens discuss things that are not important to them. If you remember well, hata Raila mwenyewe has been on record talking about the housing levy ama the housing tax during the time of President Uhuru, and he was of this opinion that it is very important to give Kenyans housing. Now, my disagreement with that housing program was not about whether or not it should happen. It was about how that housing should be funded by the government. And this was my opinion. Kama unakumbuka vizuri, Ruto alibadilisha the NSSF program. Mbeleni tulikuwa tunatoa 200 shillings for NSSF. Sasa akabadilisha, akasema 200 shillings has make sense. So tukaanza kutoa 1080 wale wenye wanatoa pesa nyingi, because now he brought the aspect of a percentage of salary. But what the president and what I have been disagreeing with Ruto, what he misunderstood, what Ruto misunderstood, is that the problem with Kenyans and NSSF was not about the amount of money that they were getting. Because if you listen to Ruto anakuambia kwamba ukitoa 200 from the time unaanza kukatwa by the mpaka wakati una retire, na ni ukweli kabisa. The people who get the highest amount of money inakuanga between 100,000 and 150 after working for more than 30 years. So it was not making sense to work for 30 years alafu mtu akupatie 150,000. But what was the problem? Was the problem the amount that you contributed or the amount yenye unapatiwa na NSSF? Because in my opinion, the problem is this inflation yenye tunaongea kuhusu. Because inflation has been growing too fast and too high. And it is going to grow even higher after these finance bills zenye wanatuletea zikiimplementiwa. And because they have already been implemented, inflation itazidi kwenda juu. So for the president to cover up and to show people that he has a concern, akatuambia to increase the amount of contribution. But I'm saying, with this kind of inflation, this money will still be worthless by the time the Kenyan employee retire. And this is the reason. because the NSSF is being mismanaged, na haijaanza leo ati na uongozi wa Ruto. So I'm not attacking Ruto. Imekuwa ikimanejiwa hivyo during the uongozi wa Uhuru, uongozi wa Kibaki, uongozi wa Moi, na hata wakati wa Kenyatta, because hata Kenyatta aliacha NSSF, imekuwa ikimismanejiwa. And I'm saying that because the Kenyan employee huwa hawapati the benefits zenye wanafaa kupata. If you are saving that money in a different platform, let's say hiyo 2160 uambiwe uchukue hizo pesa ni za retirement, lakini uziweke kwa kitu kama sako. Ukishaweka kwa sako huwa inaenda inakopeshea fellow members in that sako or members who are not part of that sako, so that ina reproduce hizo pesa, ama hizo pesa zina multiply. At the end of the year they give you dividend, kwa sababu wame make profit by using your money. You have a balance of more than the amount that you have saved because of this dividend, and this amount can cushion you from inflation. Utapata kuna pesa zimejiongeza juu kwa sababu ya interest yenye umeongezewa juu the sacco ilikuwa inafanya kazi na pesa zako. What about our NSSF? Our NSSF in the previous arrangement, ile watu walikuwa natoa 200 shillings, ulikuwa unajipata wanakurudishia the same amount yenye ulikuwa umeinvest even after inflation kwenda juu vile imeenda. And to make the matters worse, you will need processing fee ya hizi pesa zako, so you will not even get the exact amount that you have saved, you will get less. Okay? However, even after increasing the amount that you are contributing from 200 to 2000 today, the style of management and the arrangement is still the same. There is nothing to cushion you or to protect you against inflation, and that means by the time unapatiwa hizo pesa zako, bado inflation with this rate yenye tunaona ikipanda ya na central bank, it means bado inflation itakuwa imemeza pesa zako. Remember, we are talking about inflation because inflation basically means money ina lose purchasing power, that ile kitu pesa yako yenye uko nayo kwa banki inaweza nunua leo, 10 years to come hiyo pesa itakuwa useless, haiwezi nunua hiyo kitu. Kama leo hizo pesa zinaweza nunua shamba ya 1 million, hiyo shamba 10 years to come itakuwa 10 million. So your 1 million will be useless. And this is what I'm saying. NSSF as it is today, the amount of money that you save is the same amount of money that you will get after retirement. And that is where the problem is. Because between the time you save today and the time you get back the money that years, maybe kama utafanya kazi for that years, that money will be the same. But remember, inflation itakuwa bado imepanda. So that means the money that you will get at that time, because the mistake watu wengi huwa tunafanya, huwa tunasema sinatoa 2000. So after 1 year nitakuwa nimetoa 24,000. So it means after 10 years I will have 240,000. So after 30 years I will have about 1 point something million. So unaona 1 point something million ni pesa nyingi kwa sababu unazivalue kulingana na the buying power ya leo. Because you think 1 point something million can buy you shamba leo na ujenge, you think that time wakati utakuwa ukiretire bado itakusaidia in that perspective, ama it will have the same capacity. Now I want you to start thinking about and reasoning around inflation and realize that by the time you retire 30 years from now, wakati utakuwa ukipewa 1 point something million or less than something million, inflation itakuwa imepanda, very useless na haitaweza kukusaidia. So we will find ourselves back to the problem ya tulikuwa nayo ya 200 shillings, because this is the misinformation that either the president and his people have about NSSF. The problem was not the amount that we are getting. The problem is inflation, because by the time you get the money, inflation inakuwa imemeza. So how can you make these NSSF beneficial to the Kenyan citizens and cushion them against inflation?